Hi, I'm Jonathan Fuhrman with the Michigan Depression Glass Society. I'd like to welcome you to our June 2020 virtual meeting. Today I'll be showing my Cambridge Gloria pattern with you. So I started collecting this just about a year ago, and actually I bought the entire set at once and I haven't been able to acquire any since. So when you look at Gloria, even though it was in the 30 to 34 catalog for the Cambridge Glass Company, and there's pages and pages of it, you really don't see that much of it. So if you were to go on eBay right now and look at WorthPoint or Caprice, there'd be hundreds of listings. And right now, if you look for Gloria, there's less than 50, and almost all of them are either crystal or yellow. So I acquired this set about a year ago. I bought it all at once, and it was from a dealer who acquired it from a collector. So it's one of those things that you just don't see a whole lot of. And in the past year, I've been looking at eBay for it, and I've seen one, maybe two listings, and they were pieces I already had. So definitely a hard to find pattern a little bit, and definitely even more hard to find when you get into this color. So I'm going to show you the place setting pieces here. I have a cup and saucer, and this is in the 3400 line, which is what the dinnerware was etched on. And then underneath that, I have a stack of 2 plates here. I have a 7.5 inch salad plate, and then an 8.5 inch lunch plate. Now, that rounds out the place setting, really, aside from the stemware, which I'll talk about in a second. So what I did to kind of extend this a little bit, and it looks, great. I spent a decent amount of money on the Cambridge, so I went to IKEA and got some nice dinner plates here for like $4 that have a nice little earthy tone, and they really just accent the nice green color here. And by the way, the color is Forrest Green. That's why I'm in my little forest back here. And then I only have one stemware item that is actually etched Gloria. So this is a sherbet. And then in the same stemware line here, I do have a water goblet, not etched Gloria. And then just for a couple more pieces here, I have a little wine stem, and then the 3400 ball tumbler. And, forgot to mention this little guy here. This is a 3400 nut cup. So I actually got that at the MDGS show last November. And then I just have a couple serving pieces. This is just a gorgeous, gorgeous piece. It's the center-handled server. You can get a great view of what the Gloria pattern looks like on this. It's nice and big. And I've got this celery dish here. And finally, I'm not going to pick it up, but the creamer and sugar there. And again, that is the 3400 line. And then the last piece on the table I actually just got recently from the same dealer. This is in the Forrest Green, it's obviously not etched Gloria, but it's a bulb vase. I'm going to actually pick it up so you can kind of see the top here. So it's got these 4 little quadrants here, and what you would do is put a bulb in each quadrant, fill the bottom with water, and then you'd be able to force bulbs. And you can see it's actually still got the original Cambridge label on it there too. And obviously, because it's got the Cambridge label, it's never been used, which is the way it really should stay. I would not recommend forcing bulbs in that vase. The water is really good to just damage the glass. So after this, I have a really great presentation I put together and done a lot of research, and I'm going to walk you through some of the various historical information about the pattern. So now that we've had a chance to look at Gloria and what it looks like as a table setting, I want to just share some of the historical information with you about the pattern. So here we have a great illustration that was probably taken from one of the etching plates. You can kind of get a better idea of what the pattern looks like. So let's go in and talk about some of the pattern information. And I just love this photograph. It was taken from the National Museum of Cambridge Glass. They did a photo shoot recently. And you can kind of see some of the original box in the background there and this great Gloria picture in cobalt blue with the silver overlay. So what I'm going to be talking about next is a little bit about the history of this pattern. So it was referred to as Gloria in all the advertising, but internally at Cambridge, they always gave each of their etchings a number, and this was number 746, which is a poppy flower. And we'll talk a little bit about the flowers of Cambridge in a moment here. It was etched on the 3400 dinnerware line, but when it came to stemware, Cambridge had 9 different stemware lines available. In addition to the forest green color I have, Gloria was produced in a variety of colors. Now, it was first referenced in the September 1930 issue of China, Glass, and Lamps in a description about the Pittsburgh sample room. Now, this publication was a business-to-business publication. It was a trade publication that was out once a month to this industry to let everyone know what was the latest and greatest. Now, the last mention of the pattern in these trade publications occurs just a little over a year later in November of 1931, although I wasn't able to find an exact cutoff date, but from what I can tell, Gloria was produced throughout the 1930s. Now, when I did some research, one of the things I noted in the Jean Florence book is that people seem to often confuse Cambridge Gloria with Tiffin Flanders, since they both have poppy designs. So I wanted to show you today what that looks like. So on the left here, we have a piece of Cambridge Gloria, and the thing that Jean Florence noted is that the Gloria pattern, the poppies have a bent stem. So you can see that in kind of the back of the goblet there. Now, if we look to the right here, the Flanders pattern has poppies with a straight stem. And the other thing I noticed too is that those poppies are very, very wide compared to the Gloria, which has maybe more of a rounded shape of the flower. Next, I wanted to talk about some of the Cambridge floral patterns. Now, Cambridge produced a lot of patterns with flowers, and I'm not going to highlight them all today, but I just wanted to share a couple of them with you because oftentimes new collectors may not realize the difference between various etchings until you kind of look and compare them side by side. So I just have a few of them to share with you today. On the left here, we have the Gloria pattern. On the right, we have Cambridge's Apple Blossom. Next up, we have the Lorna pattern on the left. And in my mind, none of these patterns can really be confused with Gloria, but the one that probably would come the closest is Lorna. And then I also have an example on the right of the wildflower pattern. This is gold encrusted on ebony. And finally, just one more example of the many Cambridge floral patterns is wildflower. Now, as I mentioned before, the Gloria pattern came on a total of 9 different stemware lines. So I have illustrations of what those all look like. So from left to right, we have the 1066. That's the line you saw in my table setting where I had the actual sherbets that were etched Gloria. Those are the only stems I have that actually have the Gloria etching on them at the moment. We have the 3111, also known as the statuesque or nude line, the 3025, and the 3035. Now on the next slide here, you have 5 more examples. From left to right, the 3120, the 3024, the 3130, 3135, and finally the 3400 line. Now I should note that while the pattern was offered on all 9 stemware lines, that doesn't necessarily mean that they were produced on all 9. So some of these might have been a special order line, and I know there's a couple of them in talking with collectors. For example, no one has actually seen the Gloria etching on a 3400 goblet. So now I'm going to look at the colors of Gloria. So first we're going to explore Forrest Green, and I have pictures here of pieces that were produced in Forrest Green that I don't own. So here's an example of some of the stemware that's available. And here we have a great selection of some various serving pieces. So we have a ball decanter in the 3400 line, a candy dish on the bottom left there, though it is missing the lid. We have a tall decanter in the center here, a handled platter with silver overlay on the top right, and a nice 3400 vase on the bottom right. A couple more pieces here, some pitchers, one with a couple of accompanying tumblers and one that is, again, the 3400 line ball jug, which is an 80-ounce pitcher. A couple more pieces here, a very, very nice vase, and then two just gorgeous stemware pieces in the statuesque line. And the last items I have to show you today in Forrest Green are a couple of different vases here. Now, let's look at some of the other colors that Gloria came in. We have gold crystal, peach blow, crystal, willow blue, emerald, and heather bloom. So you can see this grouping is more of the lighter pastel colors. But as we know from seeing my table setting of Forest Green, Gloria also came in some darker tones. So I have examples of those here in amber, carmine, and again, just to show you kind of the tonality here of deeper colors, example of Forest Green there. And the thing I find that's really interesting about that Forest Green piece, in general, that would be a very rare, hard to find piece. But if you notice, the foot is also etched Gloria, which is quite unusual to see a foot etched like that. Normally on vases and compotes and things like that, the feet are just plain. Now, in addition to solid colors, Gloria also came in bicolored or two-tone glass. So I'm going to show you a couple examples of that. We have in this picture here a very nice staged photograph of some amber glasses with a crystal stem and foot. And then just some other color combinations here. Crystal with both an emerald or an ebony foot. We have a gold crystal tumbler with a amber foot, and then heather bloom with crystal. Now, the pattern also came in a couple of different forms of decoration. So first here we have the silver decorated pieces. So we have a great amethyst vase here with silver decoration. And then a couple other examples I have here are in royal blue, carmine, as well as ebony. And I should note, these are probably not the only colors that were produced with a silver overlay. It's just the ones that I was easily able to find examples of. Next up, we have gold decorated. So again, here I have a picture of an amethyst vase with gold decoration. And then this gorgeous piece on the left here is a pillow vase in Crown Tuscan. It was produced gold on ebony, and I grabbed this photo originally thinking it was ebony, but you can kind of see in the keyhole a little bit of purple or amethyst showing through. So it looks like that one actually is amethyst, but there are examples of gold on ebony. So we're going to call this ebony for the purposes of this presentation. And then also we have royal blue with the gold decoration. Now, the gold decoration wasn't exclusive to dark colors. It also did come in some lighter tones, and I have a couple examples here to show you in pink and yellow. I also was able to pull the original patent for the Gloria design. And here that is here. You can see that it was filed on December 17th of 1930. And it looks like the patent up in the top left corner there was granted on February 17th, 1931. Now I just wanted to show you very quickly a couple of the catalog pages that depict Gloria. So here's the 3400 dinnerware line etched in 746, also known as Gloria. So you can see some of the pieces I have there, like the cup and saucer, creamer and sugar. A few of the different stemware pieces on the 3120 stemware. It's a very cool picture there in the center with the lid. And finally, just some additional pieces on this third page here. One of the things I'd like to point out that's probably the most unique item here that I really enjoy is if you look off to the right center side there, there's a 3400 line square cup and saucer. And in addition to the cup and the saucer being square, it also has 4 little feet. So that's very, very unique and interesting. And you don't really see that blank ever that often. Now, as I mentioned before, the Gloria Pattern is referenced in some trade publications, so I'm going to show you a few examples of that. So the first example comes from October 1930 in the issue of China, Glass, and Lamps. And I'm just going to read a little bit of the text here. This is the first reveal of the pattern, and you can see that we have the 3400 creamer and sugar along with a square salad plate. So it says, Gloria is the name which the Cambridge Glass Company has given its newest decoration, and it can be seen at showrooms 184 Fifth Avenue. As the illustration shows, Gloria is a floral pattern of a most distinctive character. One unusual feature is the fact that the design begins at the bottom of the piece and extends upward instead of starting at the top and working downward, as is more customary. A full line of dinnerware, flatware, and stemware may be had in this decoration, and it has been developed in amber, green, pink, gold crystal, willow blue, and crystal. Here's a December 1930 ad in the same publication, and you can see on the bottom right there, we have a Gloria plate. Now, this February 1931 ad I'm just in love with, and I had to break it apart onto two slides here, but just the photograph here is stunning. The clarity of the etching and the background, too, just really brings it all together, and it's just a magnificent photograph. I was talking with a friend of mine who's a Cambridge collector, and his assumption is that that background is actually probably an etching plate that was custom engraved just to take this photograph. So very, very interesting and beautiful artwork there. So that's the top of the ad, and the bottom of the ad is on the next slide here, and it says, Gloria goes further. Gloria, the popular Cambridge etching for 1931, like Apple Blossom, goes further towards the fulfillment of a complete dinnerware service than any other pattern available on the market. Here you have dinnerware, stemware, flatware, and novelty pieces, all harmonious and of identical loveliness. Now, one of the things you'll notice in the ad is that they list some permanent display showrooms that Cambridge had in various major cities. And one of them is in our hometown here of Detroit, Michigan, and it was the Donovan building. So I did a little bit of research on that just to give you the Detroit connection here. So the Donovan building was designed by the renowned architect Albert Kahn. It was located at 2457 Woodward Avenue, and that would have been on the northwest corner of Woodward and I-75. Now, the building opened in 1922, but sadly it was demolished in January of 2016. A couple more trade publication examples here. You can see April 1931, we're seeing an ebony vase here with the Gloria on it. And then a couple summer ads here from May and June of 1931. On the left, you can see the pillow vase there on the bottom with Gloria etching. And then on the right, we have these picture sets, and the top one is etched Gloria. A couple more examples here. On the bottom left corner there, we see a Gloria ebony salad plate and cup and saucer. And then the ad on the right here has Gloria pieces. And these are getting a little bit later in 1931, so June, and then into the fall here with September. And this is the last trade publication that shows Gloria. It's from November of 1931. And you can see definitely the top left picture there is Gloria. The other pieces are a little bit harder to make out. I think the tumbler in the bottom center there appears to be Gloria as well. So that pretty much concludes the presentation today. I did want to provide a couple resources if you're looking to find additional information about Cambridge glassware, and this is where I got a lot of my information for today. So to learn more, you definitely want to visit the National Museum of Cambridge Glass, which is located in Cambridge, Ohio. It's a short 4-hour drive from Detroit, and it might sound like a long distance to just visit a museum, but there's a lot of other stuff you can do in the area. And one of the things I recommend doing is that a lot of these museums are within an hour or so of each other. So you could easily make it a 2-day trip or something and hit Fostoria, Heisey and Cambridge and see various manufacturers. But the museum is absolutely something to behold, and I recommend everyone go and visit it. In addition to seeing a lot of glass, there's molds on display that show how the glassware was made. You can see some progressive sets that showcase how a goblet was blown and then a stem and a foot attached to it. So just very, very interesting stuff there. You can also join the National Cambridge Collectors. They publish a monthly newsletter with a lot of great information and also have some resources available there for you to learn more about glass. The great resource as part of the kind of Cambridge empire here is one of their study groups, the Miami Valley Study Group. They have a website and it's mvsg.org. And on that site, you'll find a lot of great information. Probably the two things I'll highlight here today are that they have an excellent photo library, and they're trying to actually document a picture of every single Cambridge piece ever produced. So right now they have scans of catalogs in that collection, and they're divided up by patterns. And as they get the actual pieces, they're replacing the catalog image with the actual piece. So great photo resources there. The other thing that's really great is that they have an archive. So all the images that I pulled from the trade publications are there. And rather than sifting through a monthly issue of China glass and lamps, looking for references to Cambridge, and each one of those publications might have been 80 to 100 pages. So you're looking through 1,200 pages in any given year. The Miami Valley Study Group has actually scanned and put in just the Cambridge ads for each year for kind of the 4 main trade publications. So that's a great resource and wealth of information to see things. And the other thing you can do is look up patents. So if you go to patents.google.com, you can search for the entire library of US patents. So that's where I was able to pull up the Gloria patent. So lots of great information can be found there as well. The only thing to note is that sometimes it can be a little challenging to find things because the patent may not have been filed by the Cambridge Glass Company. It may have been filed by the designer of the pattern on behalf of Cambridge. So while you will type in Cambridge Glass and get quite a few patents on this search tool on Google, it's not every single one unless you can do the research. But thankfully, at least for the Cambridge stuff, the Miami Valley Study Group has compiled all the patents into one central area. So regardless of whether they were filed by the Cambridge Glass Company or someone else, they're all housed in one place there. So I thank you very much for listening today, and I hope you learned a lot about Cambridge Glass and the Gloria pattern in particular. And thank you for tuning in.